Liam, the last time we seen you, you were in Armoy with the Puma and our Smyth trailer. Now today we're a wee bit further away from Armoy, so where are we?
Perthshire, Scotland, just between Perth and just at the back of Bergourie here at the minute, so we are. Stewart Farms, that's the fellas we're in here carting to today.
And what does Stewart Farms do apart from obviously spuds that we're doing here today?
Well, their main cash crop I think is potatoes, and then they grow a lot of barley sort of to back up the ground for potatoes, and they're actually started to growing a bit of cover crop and stuff like that there for nitrogen production, and then there's other stuff as well to kill CPN and that on the ground for potatoes, because that's a disease that you don't actually, I don't think you can get a spray for, so if that goes into your ground you can't plant potatoes on it, so you can't.
Yeah. And here today we're running what, a 2-row
Grimmy Veritron 220. And then it's a GT 170, so it is.
So why the self-propelled and the trailed?
Well, I think they used to run 2 trailed machines, and then they started to hit wet conditions and they were growing more acres. Yeah. And there's days the trailed machines wouldn't be fit to work, like there this morning, that field we were in, the trailed machine was having bother getting up the fields, but the self-propelled was fit to go anywhere. And with that 220, she has a 2-ton bunker on it. So the likes of wet conditions and that there, he can get into places that we wouldn't be fit to go with the tractors and trailers. Okay. And then he can dig out bits and we can stay out of wet bits and avoid it and all that kind of thing. Like.
So it kind of works both ways then?
Aye, but sort of works well. Plus, whenever you're running the likes of that 220, because she has a big 900 rotation tyre on, you need to actually, you need to open up a break in the field, or even the first time round the field, to get trailers on beside it. Yeah. So the trailed machine, she has an 18-inch wheel on one side, and he's fit to run that up the inside, up the middle of the bed, and he can go down the middle of the field and open the field up then. So it's, some men run windrowers to do that type of thing, but these boys here, it works well because then they have the harvester to dig. They don't have a pile of extra machinery sitting about. They can dig away after they're finished windrowing with her.
And like you can see there with the track running the inside, she's leaving her a lot smoother. Like you're not leaving ruts in the ground, like it's a very smooth.
Aye, I think that's a big advantage with the track on the left hand side. It's not destroying the bed beside it whenever you have to dig the next time. Yeah. You would get a wee bit more problems out there with the trailed machine in wet conditions, so you would actually see her sliding into the other bed and it could end up damaging the potatoes before they're even her up into the potato digger.
And then on this one here, the picking table, I can see one here at the minute, but how many is actually inside?
Just depending on fields. Sometimes they run 4 pickers if it's a really stony field, or if there's a lot of grass in it and that type of stuff. But if they get into cleaner fields, they maybe just only run 2, so they would. Okay. It's just down to cost type of thing. They like to keep the staff down to a minimum so they can keep expenses down. Yeah. And then we've got one leveller. Aye, one box leveller. There's one box leveller per harvester, and he sort of gives you a bit of a guide whenever you're filling there. Whenever you get to the back of the trailer, just if you can't see the back box out there, or he levels out the loads, and then whenever he gets into the yard, you just fit to lift it off straight away and put into the cold store. So he's bouncing then obviously off your man's trailer here and jumping onto yours, and then onto the next trailer it's in, basically. Yep. Aye, whenever you. Once you're filled, you have to pull to the side, and then he jumps off and goes onto your trailer, and then you carry on. Yeah. That's the great thing with that machine. She doesn't have to stop. Yep, whenever you're changing trailers, whereas the trailed machine, she has to stop, and it's unbelievable the amount of downtime you would get in the day, stopping for every load. Well, this is it. It's the same at the ends. The self-propelled, she's fit to just dig on out and go up into the next, and you can go way out his way, and he can go out the end and come in the other end, whereas the trail machine, you have to stop, and he has to empty out his elevator. Yeah. And then the next time, whenever he pulls in the sides, you have to reverse back and be fit to go whenever he's fit to get ready to go. So as you say, you've got the advantages and the disadvantages of both the trailed and the self-propelled, really. Aye, yep. Obviously cost will be a big factor too, but then it depends on the farm. Depends on the farm. I think it's down to acreage type of thing. Like it's over here, if you're only growing 100 acres, you're classed as small farmers. At home, if you grew 100 acres of potatoes, it's a big operation. But indeed. So what then? Talking acreage, what would these boys be running? I think it's between 400 and 500. They never really, just varies in years.
Yeah.
With different size of fields whenever it comes into the rotation. Like they just, I think it's every 6 years they put potatoes in the ground. Then they're 5 years out. I think it's either 5 years out or 6 years out.
Okay.
If you potato ground too much, then it's too sore and too many sprays and all that there, and it can you can get too much disease in it. So that's why you need a break. And then even these, I think they used to rent out ground for peas and carrots as well. That's a good break crop as well, so it is.
And then when do these guys plant? Is planting?
I'd say it's mostly down to weather, but most of the time I think it's around the start of April, end of March, but start of April, just depending on weather, so it is.
And then lifting, what, the end of September?
Middle of September. They go out the first week with one machine, and they would usually lift all the seed potatoes for the first week, and then just depending, even maybe the second week they would go to the far away fields and lift with one machine. That way they only need, if you're maybe half an hour away, like 5 trailers or 6 trailers is needed for one machine, whereas the likes of today were beside the yard, whereas 2 trailers is keeping the machine going, so it sort of works well the same with the 2 machines. Whenever he gets back to the yard, then he runs 2, or back closer to the yard, he runs 2 all the time, so he does. And it's sort of, you don't have to bring in a pile of extra staff then for the far away, because if you want far away fields, if you need it to be digging with the 2 machines, you would need to 8 or 10 trailers, and this time of the year, that's sort of way how I get over in here. Like this area, they would get short of drivers and short of tractors at this time of the year, so it sort of works well. I can get the tractor hired in for 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah. So how did you first then come out to the spuds? Because am I right in saying you've been out here a few years now?
Well, 2013 was the first year I came out, so it was. It was actually at another farm I started off, and it was through David Wilson at home. Yeah. He was out here. I don't know how he got into it, but I started off hiring the tractor in through him to the other place, and then got friendly with Rover and that, and then he asked would I come here whenever they were looking at an extra tractor.
So then how does it benefit you bringing obviously the 175 and yourself over? Is it a good benefit, or is there disadvantages to it, or what way?
It was really good, but to be quite honest, with the price of haulage and the price of diesel, expenses is getting that much more. Like it's nearly 3 times the price now to bring the tractor out as it was in 2013. It still benefits well, because I still have the tractor at home for slurry or silage, or our own farm at home. It sort of, it gives, it pays for the tractor type of thing to have a fresh tractor about, whereas it's hard to justify we just stock the whole time at home to be buying fresh tractors or new tractors kind of thing, because you sort of want the stock to stand on their own feet. This way here, the machinery's fit to stand on its own feet as well. I can go out and contract with it and pay it, and then you have it for all the work at home as well, kind of thing.
So Liam, thanks very much for not only letting us come out of a chat, but kind of following Stewart Farms today.
Aye, no problem.
It was nice to see the Scottish setup.
Aye.
So I'm sure we'll see you whenever we get back home. If it's not with Ryan, it's maybe a bit of contracting you're doing for somebody else at home with his tractor, but thank you.
No problem, anytime.